All right, ladies and gents, for our last lecture on supply and demand, we need to look at the cost of production. So you have labor costs and you have other costs that go into making whatever product it is, both fixed and variable. Fixed costs don't change. So it's fixed costs, think of rent, equipping a factory, you need to buy a new processor, you need to buy a new delimber, whatever it is. The price that it costs you to have your office staff, things like that. Okay, those are fixed costs. Now, variable costs are the ones that rise and fall based on other factors. Maybe it's the quantity produced. So your variable costs are going to increase as you produce more. Okay, but variable costs also are tied to other factors that really are out of your control. Think about the cost of gas or the cost of oil. So if you're a logger and you're driving, 80 miles a day, it's costing you a heck of a lot more now to deliver your product than it did in June because it just costs more money. Okay. Some labor is the same. Looking at who you're hiring, how you're paying them. Maybe it's seasonal. Look at like Target or Walmart. They hire many more people in now until really January to deal with the holiday rush. Okay. So you need to figure out what your total costs are by combining your fixed cost and your variable cost. Again, fixed costs don't change. Variable costs do. Some of these bills are fixed. Some bills are variable. If you're making more product, you're going to have a higher electricity bill, right? So the rate at which you're paying is fixed, but the amount you consume is what's variable. Okay. Here's now a question. When supply changes, and you remember that supply curve that shifts up and to the right. So when you have a change in supply or change in that cost, does it result in a change on the curve? So does the curve look something like this or like this, or does it shift the entire curve? And the answer to that question is it shifts the entire curve. Okay, so here's your supply curve. Any factors, any cost and output, anything like that is going to affect supply. So if the cost of oil goes up or gas goes up or tire or rubber goes up, you're probably going to end up decreasing your supply if you're a trucker, manufacturer, whatever it is. If it goes down, you could do more trips for the same amount. Your supply is probably going to increase. But you have shifts in the supply curve just like we had in the demand curve. Okay, so a rise in the cost of these outputs in cost of raw material, machinery, labor, maybe you need to pay your people more, is going to result in a negative shift of supply, and a fall in these costs is going to result in a positive shift in supply. So again, negative would be to the left, positive would be to the right, okay, in this supply curve here. All right, positive, negative. All right, so you got to figure this out. If it costs you more to do business, you're probably going to do less business. Okay. We need to look at now, and this sets us up for our next unit, is what is the government's role in our society on supply? Okay. Government cannot tell a private company what they can and cannot make unless it's deemed a safety hazard or meets some other different criteria. But it certainly can encourage or discourage consumption and the idea of supply. So if you discourage consumption, you're also affecting companies' ability to produce things, right? They're not going to produce anything if they can lose money on it, or if they're going to lose money on it, okay? So how do they encourage that? Okay, they give government subsidies. Think of set-aside or farm subsidies, okay? So the government pays farmers not to farm, not to till land. Why does it do that? Because they're decreasing the supply, so they're increasing the price for farmers, okay? You have excise taxes or sin taxes. So you have, think of cigarettes, alcohol, other things that are deemed unnecessary. If you increase the tax on that, you're discouraging consumers from buying it because it's more expensive, and therefore you're decreasing the supply. So you're trying to legislate behavior in some ways, okay? Government also regulates different markets. Banking industries, gas industries, all that stuff. When the government intervenes in the market, usually it's meant to limit or encourage production. Depends upon what that regulation is. We'll talk more about these 3 points in class. All right, guys, that's it.